So I started scrapbooking about 20 years ago, right after I got married. And over the years, I've dipped my toes in lots of other crafts, and on my blog, you'll see a representation of that. But I always feel like coming back to a scrapbook page is like coming back to my roots, kind of where I got started. So if you feel the same way, or if you've been scrapbooking consistently throughout the years, good for you. And I hope you will enjoy making this scrapbook page with me today. Make sure you download the file that goes along with this class. And then I'm going to be working with my Cricut in Design Space. You can follow this same process if you're using a Silhouette or some other similar cutting machine. I'm going to show you how to work with the different pieces in Design Space, how to size your pictures, and do a print then cut with the Cricut to get them on your page. So let's jump in. For starters, let me just show you really quick the supplies that I'm going to use. A 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper that you like the color and pattern, 2 pieces of white cardstock, 1 sheet of adhesive photo paper. So this is like the one kind of weird supply that I'm using. I'm using my Cricut machine, so I've got a blue mat. I also am going to add some decoration to my page with some vinyl. So I have vinyl and transfer tape, whatever adhesive you like for cardstock. Then I'll be using a black Cricut pen, the Cricut scoring stylus. I forgot to pull it out for the picture, but I'm also using a weeding hook. And then finally, 1 brad. I found these star-shaped brads at the store and they had to come home with me, but you can use whatever you've got on hand. Now let's go to Design Space and get our files ready to cut. Okay, so we're going to upload a file first. I'm going to click the SVG that has the solid center. So there's no pre-cut hole in the middle of this one. Since we're going to be making this much larger than the original size, we'll just add our little circle later. Okay, so these are all the pieces that are going to come in when you upload. Then we're going to go to shapes. We're going to add in a square. This is going to represent our scrapbook page. So you can change it so that it is just a guide. That way it's just an outline, and then it's not going to cut out when we go to make our project. So let's make that 12 by 12. We're going to use this to size our ViewMaster reel. You're going to increase that size until it's the size you like to fit on your page. Mine ended up being a little more than 9 inches. I'm going to put it kind of in the corner over here. When you have it a size that you like it, then you can ungroup that whole SVG, and we're going to do some work with some of the individual pieces. You can delete the 1 solid background piece, and then we have 3 pieces here that we're going to work with. Start by adding a new circle to the canvas, and this is going to be the center hole that our brad is going to go through. So add in a circle and change the size to 0.2. Then duplicate that so you have 2 of them. Then layer 1 over this shape and 1 over this shape. Then you'll select them and center them, and then hit slice. Then you can remove those center pieces out, and you're left with a hole exactly in the middle of both pieces. Now take the pictures piece and change it from cut to pen. Then you can add that on top of this background piece, center, and then attach. All right, so now this one little piece represents the size of the picture that's going to go in here. And the way that it comes in is it's exactly the same size as that cutout. And we're actually going to make it a little bit bigger because we want it to go under that cutout layer. And if we make it just a little bit bigger, it gives us a little bit of wiggle room so we don't have to get the placement exactly right. With that piece selected, go ahead and change the width to 1.2 inches. Make sure that the little lock is on so that it changes the height as well. Okay, now we're going to jump over to canva.com for just a minute. You can do this with the free version, and we're just going to create a new photo collage. It's just going to create a blank rectangle for us to work in. So you click here where you can upload files, select all of your pictures, and then upload them in. And these are the pictures that I want to put on my reel. They're all pictures from our trip to Alaska last summer. And you're going to need 14 pictures altogether. Then you're just going to fit them around on this page. The reason we're doing this here is because if we tried to put each of these full-size pictures into Design Space, it would crash, or at least go super, super slow, just because the pictures are so big. So I am doing this kind of collage first, and then Design Space will be able to handle it a little bit better. So you can see if you just drag one side in, it crops the picture. If you drag in from a corner or drag out from a corner, it will resize it. When you've put each of your pictures into a collage, click on the share button in the top right-hand corner and then scroll down to where it says download. Click download and it will download all of your pages into one zipped folder. So then download that where you want it to go on your computer. Then go to that compressed folder and expand it or extract everything, unzip it, whatever you need to do to get each of those pictures out. We're going to bring those collage pictures into our canvas. So click upload, go to your computer where you have saved them. Click complex and continue, then apply and continue. Make sure you click on the right side where it says print then cut image, then click upload. Now you can add it to your canvas and it comes in here, and this is how we're going to use that little picture shape to get each of our picture designs exactly right. So send your collage to the back and then put our little reference shape over the top, and make sure that you don't change the size of this shape. You only change the size of the picture behind it. When you have it lined up where you want it to go, you're going to select the collage image and the shape and hit slice. So you're going to be left with a copy of the shape and then an image that is the exact same size as that shape. Then you're going to repeat that with each other picture. So again, I have this object on top. I'm resizing the picture in the back. Once it looks right, then I'll select them both and click slice. A great way to think of how this process works is like our little shape on top is like a cookie cutter. And so you're just doing a little cookie cutter of the picture behind it that you want to keep. So you can watch how I do that with all the rest of these pictures. Again, remember, don't change the size of our little black object, only change the size of the picture behind it. So some of the pictures that you're seeing here are of the day that we went zip lining We took a flight seeing tour on a little airplane and got to land on a glacier up in Mount Denali. There was one day that we went and did a dog sled adventure. So we actually met one of the grandsons of the guy who started the Iditarod race. And then this team that we got to go ride out with is actually the team that won the Iditarod race this last March in Alaska. So that was really cool. We got to play with some puppies afterwards. We also saw several glaciers. We went out on a wildlife cruise and saw whales and orcas and sea otters, all sorts of super fun stuff. I was out for a drive one evening and passed a mother moose with 2 baby moose calves with her, and this is one of them. We visited a little town called Talkeetna, where a cat is the mayor, and we got to meet the cat. It was just on a table out in the street. So really, really cool trip that we took up to the 49th state. Now here I'm going to add some text to kind of act as the journaling for this page. So this is the top layer of our ViewMaster reel. And so I have chosen the Cricut Sans font and I've changed it to the writing style. So in all caps, I typed out Alaska. And then the little caption is just going to be Megan's trip with mom and dad, June 2022. So after I type that out, I can size it down to fit in the space underneath the center of the reel. So I'm just going to drag these out to the side for now, and then this is where I'm going to add some of the things that are in our pictures. So I'm just going to type out one long line of text, and it's going to include things like dog sled, Talkeetna, glacier, Denali, zip line. And once I get those all typed out into a single line, I'm going to use the curve tool to turn it into a circle of text. So I changed the font down to just a size 22, and then when I click more, I get this curve option. And if you drag the slider all the way to the right, then it will curve it into a complete circle. So now I can select that circle of text and I can change the size just a little bit and center it in the center of the reel. Since I've changed these all to a writing style, the Cricut is going to draw each of these letters with the pen. So first I took the shape and the circle of text and centered it and then attached it. I can bring those words to the front so they'll sit on top of our shape here. I'm making them a little bit smaller so they fit better. And then I'm going to align everything to a center horizontal and then again attach everything so that the pen writes all these letters in exactly the right place where I've put them. And then over here is the bottom part of our ViewMaster reel where I'm going to put all the pictures. And when I did this the first time, I just made the scoring stylus score the places where each of those pictures was, but I found that it actually wasn't super accurate. And so what you actually want to do is choose your layer that has just the picture cutouts and center that over the bottom part of the ViewMaster reel. Then take that layer that is just the cutouts and change it to a draw line. So the Cricut will draw in all those shapes, and then you'll put your pictures directly over that, and then it will line up with the top layer of the reel that has all the cutouts in it. It just makes it look a little more authentic than just sticking the pictures on the top layer. I'm keeping the main part of my scrapbook page pretty simple because all of the focus I want to be on the pictures in the ViewMaster reel. But I did go into the images in Cricut and find the silhouette of the state of Alaska. So I'm adding it to my canvas, and I put a 12 by 12 square back in so I can size it the right way. So I've got my reel down in this corner, and then I'm going to move the state up into this corner. And I'm going to just get rid of some of that long chain of islands. If you look over here in the layers panel, each one of these teeny little cutouts and islands and shapes is its own layer. And then I can hit ungroup, and I can just drag my cursor along the outside of the page and select everything out there and delete it. Then I want to take all of the pieces and attach them together so that they cut out correctly when I send it to the mat. And now it's ready to cut, so I can click Make It. On each mat, you can come down and kind of double check that the pen layers are attached in the right spots. And then here on the page where I'm going to print out all of my pictures, I'm going to spread them out a little bit just because I know I'm going to add the bleed feature just to make sure that I don't get any little white edges around my picture. And even though there's probably enough room there, this just makes me feel a little better, so I'm going to spread them out a little bit. Then remember, we're going to be printing this on our printable adhesive photo paper. So I click Send to Printer. If you have multiple printers, you'll want to make sure that you have the right one selected. So I'm going to add bleed and also use the system dialog. So when I click Print, this little box pops up. If you don't see it pop up on your printer, it may be behind Design Space, so you might need to minimize that. But mine shows up right here, so I'm going to click Preferences. And on the paper type, I'm going to be using this other glossy paper type. And I want to change the quality to best. Then OK, and then print. Then it will send it to my printer. So after it prints, I'm going to put it onto a blue mat. For the material setting, I'm going to choose printable vinyl because that way it'll just do a kiss cut. It will just cut through the top vinyl layer and leave the backing. Now we're going to start cutting with the Cricut. Here I've got my printed pictures loaded onto a blue mat, and I'm going to put it into my Cricut machine. It's going to use the little light to scan these corner marks, and then it will know where to cut out the pictures that are printed on the page. For the next two mats, I'll be using white cardstock, and I need to install the pen because it's going to add all of my writing on the top layer, and then on the bottom layer, it will draw where the pictures go. Watch how I roll the mat away from the paper so that the paper doesn't bend or curl while I'm taking it off the mat. Make sure you do that with all of your pages. And then finally, we'll cut out the Alaska shape from vinyl. And then when that's done, use a weeding hook to remove all the extra vinyl from the outside and apply a layer of transfer tape to the top. All right, and now here's the really fun part where we get to add all of our picture stickers. So I set my top layer to the left so that I could see where I wrote all of my words, and I could more or less line up the pictures with the captions underneath. They're not all going to match exactly, but I'll get pretty close. So I have one of my Mount Denali pictures right here that I'm adding first, and then you can see the whale spouts here. I'm putting that by the word whales. So just continue around adding all the pictures in. Remember, like I said, I had tried using the scoring stylus to mark where the pictures go, and it didn't go great. So that's why I told you that you should draw it with a pen, and then those locations will show up a lot better for you, and you can get them in the right spot so that they show through the top cutout layer. When all the pictures have been added, go ahead and layer the two pieces together and put the brad in the middle. That will help your pieces stay centered and lined up correctly while you go around the edges and glue everything down. Next, I peeled away the backing from my vinyl Alaska shape, and I'm going to put that up in the top left corner like I designed. And then I'm going to press down as much as I can just on the vinyl. I don't want to press too hard on the transfer tape because I don't want to risk it pulling up any of the paper. You can see this peeled off it just fine and left the Alaska shape on my page. Finally, we're going to add the ViewMaster reel to the page. So take the brad out and mark the center of where you want the ViewMaster reel to go on the page, and just poke a little hole with the weeding hook. Then add the brad back in, flatten it out on the back side of the page, and your ViewMaster reel scrapbook page is complete. All right, so if you make a scrapbook page like this, if you use this ViewMaster SVG file, I would love to see the results. So make sure you hop over to the Facebook group and post a picture of your finished page, or even just your finished ViewMaster reel if you haven't put it onto a page yet. So great to have you here, and I will see you around the internet.